Well, California Clay, how you feeling, bud?
Not good, bruh.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the Blackhawks got Dominic Kubalike from the Kings for a 5th-round pick.
That helps.
Wow. You have to get up, do what they do. But that was insane. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Come on! I make go records, baby. I'm liking this.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hawks Recap. My name is Clay. Thank you for tuning in. Blackhawks just completed their 46th game of the season and now have 46 points on the season thanks to a home victory over the Anaheim not-so-mighty Ducks. Blackhawks win 4-2, and holy crap, speaking of not so mighty anymore, it's weird seeing Getzlaf on a team that is really bad. I'm not gonna lie, I had a legit moment right before puck dropped. I was like, is Getzlaf even on the team anymore? I mean, Perry went away, Kessler went away. Like, the Ducks are a bit changed now. It's weird to see not just Getzlaf, but really any really good player of, not so long ago be on bad teams. You can add Joe Thornton to that list. I mean, heck, you can even add Taves and Kane to that list. It's weird to see players of that caliber not on playoff quality teams. And speaking of bad teams, this was a matchup of two not so good teams. The only difference was that the Ducks kind of expected not to be good at all this year, and we're going to be getting a top 5 pick again. The Hawks were hoping to at least try and compete for the playoffs. That is looking less and less likely nowadays. But, hey, a win is a win tonight, and you never know. Although, as I mentioned in my previous video, I've marked that done in my book. I don't think it's happening, but still nice to see Hawks winning a game against a team that you'd expect them to win against, although it probably won't change the outlook of this season. Robin Lehner back in net tonight, missed 2 games due to an injury, although thankfully it wasn't as severe as it initially looked. But I would say that even though Robin Lehner made some ridiculous saves in this one, I wouldn't pin the 2 losses in the last 2 games on not having Lehner in net. I think it's more the opponents that the Hawks played and the fact that the Hawks did not play well against those other teams. However, still nice to have Lehner back. And speaking of Robin Lehner, talked about his future contract pretty recently. Said that he was open to the idea of re-signing with the Hawks. Remember, this is a 1-year deal he signed with the Hawks. But he also does not want to get underpaid. So he's not going to take a cheap deal to stay with the Hawks. And quite frankly, I cannot blame him. Now, the Blackhawks are spending $11 million right now for Crawford and Lehner. They're 2 goalies. Hopefully, that number will go down next year, whether it's having both these players again or just having one of them and a different backup. Who knows? But Robin Lehner for sure would get a bump in his pay, absolutely. Crawford, on the other hand, I can't expect him getting more money, at least from the Hawks. Now, if the Hawks want to re-sign Lehner, great. I'm all for that. But you look at like Carey Price and Bobrovsky, and you look at goalies making a lot of money and how their teams are doing. You got to be careful with goalie contracts. Nothing against Lehner, nothing against Price or Bobrovsky, but there's a limit to how much a goalie helps a team, right? And with the Hawks cap situation and money tied to other players like Kane and Taves and Seabrook and just other big contracts, the Hawks do need to be careful. If Lehner is looking at, $10 million a year, I don't think the Hawks can make that play. But I personally really like Lehner. I hope the Hawks make a good play to get him, to a long-term deal. But we'll see how that goes. That will probably be more at the end of the season. I don't think that contract's happening anytime during the season. So we got a ways to go, but it's kind of interesting to hear his thoughts on the whole, contract extension or free agency situation. With that out of the way, let's actually talk about the game. Blackhawks came out playing pretty well in the first period, although 3.5 minutes in, they did what they have done a lot this year and really struggled in their own end, just getting the puck out. They turn the puck over. It gets right to the slot. Leonard has no chance, and the Ducks are up 1-0 early. The Blackhawks would push back after that, which was good to see. You would expect that. But Hawks, glorious opportunity to tie the game. Jonathan Toews down low somehow gets the puck through Gibson's 5-hole, and the puck doesn't go in. It hits the far post. Just, you gotta be kidding me. But thankfully, shortly after that, Jonathan Toews would get the puck in the neutral zone and have a 2-on-1 odd man rush and decide to just let it rip. And he goes 5-hole, and it gets through Gibson. It misses the post and hits all the twine of the net. And the Hawks have tied this game up about halfway through the first period. The Blackhawks would have a power play a little bit later on in the first period, but just like it's been the entire season, they basically do absolutely nothing with the power play. And I know we have some injuries, but when you have a guy like John Quenneville on one of the power play units, it's nothing against John Quenneville, but those types of players, they're not really going to help your power play all that much. But then again, it's not like the type of players that you expect to be on a power play are actually helping the power play either, so who am I to judge? So this game would go into the second period tied at 1, but it was then that the Blackhawks decided to step on the gas a little bit. They had to kill off an early Ducks power play, but from then on they would outshoot the Ducks 17-9 in that middle frame, and they'd get a couple goals for their efforts. Dominic Kubalike would put the Hawks into the lead 4 minutes and 20 seconds in, and then a bit later on in the second period, he would get another one after the Hawks had the puck in the offensive zone for like 2 minutes. It was nuts. It was a really great shift. It was not even just one shift. They got like 2 shifts out of it, and it was capped off by Dominic Kubalike scoring down low. Hawks go into the third period with a 3-1 lead. The third period would be pretty much the opposite for the Hawks. They were very loose defensively, and not just like coverage-wise, but when they would get the puck and have control of the puck, they would just throw it away or turn the puck over in another matter. Is difficult to watch, and we've seen this pretty much this entire year. It's like, it's got to get fixed. Because if you're playing good teams, it's going to be taken advantage of. And even if you're not playing good teams like the Ducks, it's going to be taken advantage of. And, well, they did. The Ducks scored 2.5 minutes into the third period thanks to another turnover. And this is now a 1-goal game, and all of a sudden it's like, are we going to really do this again? Thankfully, a minute and a half later, Olli Maatta would come to the rescue. Yes, Olli Maatta with a rocket of a shot. I mean, that was a laser past Gibson from the point. Hawks up 4-2, and it was pretty funny to see Olli Maatta's reaction from watching the replay. He was just like, oh my God. Probably the best reaction, honestly, from a Blackhawk for a goal since Dominic Cahoon last year when he was just like... And it's kind of interesting because those two players were traded for each other. Nothing against Olli Maatta, but I really like Dominic Cahoon. But I'm glad seeing Olli Maatta score this one. The Hawks would get outshot 18-8 in this third period. They'd have to lean on Leonard, but they found a way to survive. Dominic Kubalike had a couple of really good opportunities to get the hat trick with the empty netter late, but he just couldn't find a way, just that far off. But the Hawks would survive and win this one 4-2. So the Hawks split their 4-game homestand, winning 2 games against 2 bad teams in the Red Wings and the Ducks, and losing 2 games to 2 teams fighting for a playoff spot in the Flames and the Predators. And although it's nice to see the Hawks beat teams that you'd expect them to beat, it's the latter 2 games that really, really hurt. The 2 games against the other playoff pushing teams, the Flames and Predators, not because they were necessarily losses, but because they were regulation losses. You know, it's one thing to lose in overtime and still get that loser point, but to lose both games in regulation, those are 4-point swings each time, and when they come against teams that you're trying to chase in that playoff stretch or playoff race, that's just not good. And the reason I said last game that I pretty much have called it quits on this season in hoping for a Blackhawks playoff berth. I don't see it happening. But like I said, it's still nice to see the Hawks beat teams that you'd hope they would beat. So that marks the end of 4 straight home games for the Hawks. The Hawks only have 5 more home games until March. So that's a month and a half of games that the Blackhawks will only be at home 5 times. That's a lot of road games. It's going to be interesting to see how that schedule and also how those results factor into what the Hawks do for the trade deadline, because the trade deadline is going to be late February, so something to watch. And with that, I'm going to end it. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Hawks Recap. Really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions. I got to go shovel, and I'll see you next time.